Did you know this review debuted on Facebook first? Yeah, I have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Check them out.
Pokemon, Kaiju, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hello there, collectors. It's Steven here, and I'm back with another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles review for you. Today we're going to be taking a look at NECA's Bebop and Rocksteady from their Target exclusive Cartoon Turtles line, or subline, or whatever you're going to want to call it. Yep, so we got Bebop and Rocksteady released, and this set has been released in minimal supply to start off, with a slow trickle out to stores. There's been some debate as to whether or not .com is actually going to be getting any of these in stock. Some folks have been saying they've been getting them. Other folks have confirmed that there have been some bots who have gotten some orders in. That being said, NECA's not the greatest at distribution. They're rare to get. Some folks are going to have to be paying scalper prices. Other folks are going to hunt these down until they find them. Whatever the story is it worth your time, effort, and money? Let's take a look to see whether or not these guys are worth adding into your collection. Overall, the stylized look for the cartoon Ninja Turtle stuff that NECA has been doing, I think have been hit and miss depending on the characters. I do think that for the original release Turtles, they kind of look a little I think a little too dark. The shading doesn't necessarily look all that great. But here for Bebop and Rocksteady, I think that look is pulled off overall well. There are a couple of small quality control issues, such as a little bit of overshading and too thick paint here and there. But realistically speaking, the actual application of everything does look like it's done well. The only quality control issue would come down to the manufacturing process, such as too thick paint in some areas. We do have some flash marks, molding lines here and there. We have paint flakage, which you're going to get that with the extra hands that you're going to be seeing in a little bit, because they decided to paint over those joints, and there are hinges and swivels, and there's going to be paint that's going to be coming down. Yep, we got Bebop, who's got the chains, and those have a potential to get ripped off. Rocksteady does have a couple of things that are glued on, and unfortunately mine are starting to come undone, and as you'll see in articulation, one spot's coming undone. So yeah, I'm talking about a whole bunch of negatives, but what about the positives? Well, I can definitely say that for Bebop, at least, the chains do look realistic despite the fact that they're made out of plastic. We do have the necklace, which made out of bone. No, it's made out of like a vinyl rubber material, but yeah, it's made out of bone. Yeah, we do have some finer details which do look pretty dang sweet, and that is what is really appreciated here from NECA. For Rocksteady, we do have some fantastic detailing in the shirt. We do have some of those fold lines and whatnot, which, I get it, big guy. The shirt doesn't fit quite too well. We've had those days. And he has a full arsenal of weapons on him, which unfortunately can't be used, which wish they would have included a usable sword, but hey, it is what it is. We do have some great panel lining found on both of these, which I really do appreciate, and as you'll see soon enough, whether you're going to be getting these for your Figuarts Turtles or your NECA Turtles, they do blend in relatively well. Overall, in terms of quality control, not the best in the world, but in terms of how these two look, they do look great. Oh, and by the way, SH Monster Arts fans, if you look at Rocksteady head on, you notice anything? I do. First, for articulation, we'll talk about Bebop here, and you know what? Overall, I do have to say it's pretty good, but there are some quality control issues and design flaws, looking at you there, feetsy weetsies, that do hold the figure back a little bit. What am I talking about? Well, let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. The mouth opens and closes on a hinge, about that far open, and that far closed, obviously. Glasses move up and down. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you already saw that feature pretty much. So, yeah, they move on a swivel, basically. The head plugs into the neck on a ball joint. Unfortunately, because he's got some nice chubby cheeks, we're not really going to be able to move his head around too much, but we can spin it around and get him to look in a few different directions. So, realistically speaking, it's good enough. Now, here's where things start to head south, because these shoulder pads are actually attached onto his vest. They are glued on, and then we have these straps that go around, so those do sort of block the range of movement for the shoulders, which feature swivels to move forward and back, and hinges to raise and lower. However, as you just naturally move, they start to come undone, and they rip. So do keep that in mind as you're moving him around, that you may rip these off of the vest. So yes, so raise and lower about that far, move forward and back about that far, considering we have the pads. We do have bicep swivels, yay. We have double hinged elbows, which can be a pain to move at first. Swivel, hinge wrists. Show you the joint more so over here because this is easier. Do take note, this chain is a royal pain in the ass, and you will see that in a fully unedited clip coming up in the accessory section. Ball jointed ab crunch, which works just fine. For the hips, swivels to move forward and back. That's about how far. His butt is fully sculpted with pockets, so that way, that does block the articulation, unfortunately. We do have hinges. You can do the splits about that much. Come on, you. Thigh swivels. Double hinge knees. Be careful when moving the legs around because you're naturally going to want to grip at the waist. And if you grip at the waist, you may pull at the chains. You don't want to do that. Now, Bebop does feature a swivel at the shin, which is pretty good. No toe hinge, but for the ankle joint, he does feature basically fully functioning ankles like you would find on Figuarts, your standard NECA figure. So there is an ankle rocker, and there's a hinge to move the foot forward and back. But because of his shoes, we have the sculpt up here blocking it. You can push if you want, and you can get that full movement out of it, basically, but you're probably going to break it off. So, yeah, that's the issue that a lot of folks have been having and why they're saying that, here, this one moves a little better. You can actually see it. Yeah. Ever so slight. So that's the issue that a lot of folks are talking about. Randy completely blew this off on Twitter as it not being an issue, but it factually is because the joints are there and some people stress them and break them. So, yeah, it's a design flaw. Something to keep in mind. So, yes. So, articulation, limited a bit by design and unfortunate quality control, as that may happen to you as well. But he still moves well enough. Now we're going to talk about Rocksteady, and you may notice that, oh, he's missing the shell on his hip there. Wonder what that might be from. All right, so what do we have? Well, mouth opens and closes on a hinge. Pretty simple. Double ball jointed neck, so we can get Rocksteady to look in all sorts of different directions. Very nice. The range is fantastic. Swivel, hinge for the shoulders, great movement, dedicated bicep swivels, double hinge elbows, swivel, hinge wrists. So the arms for Bebop and Rocksteady, 100% similar. We have a ball jointed waist joint, which this strap is starting to come unglued because of the movement there. Could also be because there's another quality issue I want to talk about for these guys. Swivel, hinge hips, which there's a thigh swivel as well. And mine already came pre-stressed for the one hinge, so that's great. He does have a sculpted booty as well, but thankfully, it doesn't seem to be as hindering as Bebop. Double hinge knees. We have that swivel as well. And we do have fully functioning ankle joints here, opposed to Bebop on Rocksteady. And what the cool thing here is we can pretty much put Rocksteady. We can pretty much put Rocksteady in any pose, and we can accommodate with that boot swivel. Okay? So, yeah. This is the better figure of the two. Now, something to keep in mind. When I got this set, some of the joints were really difficult to move, and I had to give them a nice hot water bath for about collective 12 minutes, and then things started to loosen up, and they were fine. So if you get this set, something feels like it's gonna start breaking, make sure you heat it up and then you're good to go. However, that's another quality control issue. This little shell bit over here was not glued on properly. And as you're moving Rocksteady around, be careful you're not accidentally gripping something, your hand slipping, and you're maybe removing a sword, pulling off a grenade, or whatever else. Come on. There you go. Yeah. So out of articulation, Rocksteady is the absolute winner. Actually, he's the better one of the two overall. Time for accessories, and what do we get? Well, essentially, they're both going to be coming with the exact same things. We're going to be coming with one big gun, one small gun. All right, rifle and pistol, essentially. Yeah. We're going to come with a set of splayed hands. We're going to come with a right hand, which has a finger extended to pull the trigger, and a left hand, which could also be used to hold one of the guns, but it is more so used so this way you can have the other hand on the barrel for whichever character you would like to use. There is also the communicator with Shredder's face on it instead of Krang's face. We'll take a look at that in a second. So here are just some action shots with the two of them using the different weapons that they come with and the different hands. So the hands are just repainted to match the corresponding character, and the weapons, the guns that we get, were already included with the foot soldiers that have already been released. So if you've been collecting this line so far, you should already have a few of these. I have the SDCC set, so I already have these. Yeah, so pretty cool. Yep, quality control on these definitely is not all that tight, but you know what? It's okay, I guess. For the communicator, like I said, it just has Shredder's face on it instead of Krang's. So if that's something you were interested in, congratulations, you now have that. So that's it for accessories, and to be honest with you, I was not really expecting anything else because these are two brand new sculpts from the ground up, and when you have things like that happen, then unfortunately you're gonna have to cut elsewhere, and accessories is where that happened. So yeah, yep. But that being said, for the extra hand parts, we did just fine. So if you're interested in maybe a support stand or maybe effect parts, you know what? I got videos to help you out. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to go ahead and swap hands for Bebop, be mindful of the chain on his left hand. For whatever reason, NECA did not decide to glue this in place so this way it would stay there, or just sculpt the chain there on his left hand. And I get what they were going for. They were going for like dangling realism or whatever, make it look like a real chain. But the problem is they created a ginormous pain in the ass. Whenever I remove Bebop's left hand and go to swap for a new one, that chain just likes to jump off. And when it does, it doesn't like to go back on the way it was intended at the factory. Bebop essentially has two hooks, and you take one of the links of the chain, hook it on one end, and then take another link and hook it on the other, and you just double loop it up and all that fun stuff, so this way you get it to stay on. Unfortunately, it's not going to do that because you keep moving the hand around, and you move your fingers around, and you fat finger it, and yaddy-la-dee-da-dee-ba-dee-ba. Anyway, it's really hard to get the chain to stay on his wrist when you're swapping hands. So just be careful when you're doing that. And I extended this section because I really didn't want to do a quick speed up of this section of me trying to get Bebop's other hand on. So c'est la vie. Now we're going to move on over to a size comparison with some other figures you just might have, whether it's going to be a Godzilla, a Goku, or some other Ninja Turtle figures you have from NECA or Tamashii Nations. These guys should fit in just well. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. An MSRP of $52, I would have to say, yeah, absolutely, we're getting our money's worth. There are some issues with this set that I believe are going to be found universal, which includes some of the tearing for the shoulder pads and the ankle joints for Bebop. Rocksteady's going to have some stuff that's going to come unglued over time, but realistically speaking, as long as you're careful, these aren't issues that either can't be circumvented or just generally acceptable. If something pops off, like the shell armor on Rocksteady's hip, you can just glue that right back on. That being said, the only real issue is going to be the exclusivity of this set. For whatever reason, NECA can't keep this in stock, despite the fact that they knew well enough ahead of time that plenty of folks were going to want to buy this. And they released it during the holiday season. For whatever reason, they didn't think, hey, instead of doing 2 of every set for this wave, let's go ahead and put 4 of Bebop and Rocksteady in there. Yeah. Also doesn't help that Randy did happen to retweet a scalper in my area. Yeah. But anyway, don't overpay for this set. Try to find it at retail, throw it in your cart, go up to the register, and check out. Trust me, that feeling is very good. Don't overpay. Pay what it's worth. Good set. Not figure of the year material, but very good. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand-selected for you, so if you want to watch another SDR video, I hand-selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.